Hello, my name's Ian MacMillan and welcome to a brand new series called the Antiques Treasure Trail, in which me and antiques expert Maurice Goodlad attempt to turn a house into a home. This house here. On occasions we are unashamedly going to be looking for bargains, and then we're going to treat ourselves as we delve into the expensive end of the market, even if it's only to dream.
Good morning, Maurice. Come in.
John, nice day.
John and Jill have just bought this house in a small village called Thornton Dale in the middle of the North Yorkshire moors. Their aim is to move in 6 months' time, which gives us plenty of opportunity to uncover the types of antiques they're looking for and put them into storage. Our first journey this week takes us to the gorgeous village of Aylsham in the heart of Norfolk and to the site of one of the many specialist art auctions around the country. It's our first visit to an auction dealing solely in one item, and I was looking forward to find out what the main differences were. So far, we've visited some amazing places to buy antiques, and the sale room in Aylsham proved no exception. As final preparations took place for the following day's all-important viewing day, we uncovered the unusual history of the building.
The actual market started in the 1950s as a pig market. It was the first thing we used to do, pigs and rabbits. In fact, but also poultry, and there were some of the biggest poultry sales in the UK were held on this very sale ground in the 1950s.
So when did the actual selling of antiques and paintings begin?
That sort of gradually evolved over by farmers asking us to sell things other than their livestock, in other words, their dead stock as well. So we started selling the odd piece of furniture and the odd biker and things like that, and gradually it evolved into having regular sales, firstly of mainly general furniture, and then later on of antiques as well.
And now Aylsham holds a specialist art auction every 2 months and attracts enthusiasts and experts from home and abroad. It takes a remarkable amount of organisation to cope with such a huge sale, which now features over 900 paintings from a wide range of artists and with styles to suit everyone's tastes.
We've got to fit a lot into a small space. There isn't a lot of gap between the pictures, you can see, and we try and fill the walls as much as we can to utilise the space in the best way. But you find people are fairly focused. They come, and if they've got a particular interest in East Anglian watercolourists, they tend to know that we keep those in one part of the sale. And you get people to turn up, they'll look at one picture and ignore the other 900 and just come here and bid for that, and as soon as they bid for it and they've bought it, they're gone. You know, they've no interest in the rest of the sales.
The work of organising the sale was finished. Tomorrow, the really hard work will begin for Roy and his team, as hundreds of potential buyers will be searching round and asking loads of questions. Feeling inspired, I decided to take some work home to see if I could make some money for a change instead of Maurice. My work of art will be on sale tomorrow.
Right, I've had enough pictures. Good night, Ian.
Oh, Maurice, I'll never get it finished now.
Another career move sabotaged, and even worse, I had to put up with him snoring all night.
I love paintings. I think it's important, though, that if you're buying a painting as an investment, you need to know the artist, know the history of the artist, and have some idea of the sort of price bracket that artist is fetching. On the other hand, if there's a picture that you like, even if it was painted by a child of 4 in play school, then by all means buy it and hang it on your wall, because it's there to be enjoyed. And if you enjoy it, whether it be £4 or £4,000 or £40,000 or £4 million if you're in that league, then the important thing is that you enjoy the piece.
Daybreak, 9 AM to be precise, and already the artwork was under intense scrutiny from a cross-section of enthusiasts, from the young to those with a certain sense of style, from the student of art to, well, me and my mentor Maurice.
Now, Maurice, you can get them without frames, can't you, pictures?
Yeah, well, it sometimes happens that you get a nice picture, and that is a nice picture, actually. It doesn't have a frame, because obviously the frame has been damaged. and thrown away.
And is it worth buying them without a frame?
Well, I would, and you can obviously get them a bit cheaper, of course, no frames. And all you have to do is to look for a frame to fit that at an auction like this.
You've got a wide selection of frames here, Maurice.
That's right.
Very ornate, aren't they?
Yes, yeah. Well, the frames are chosen usually by the picture framer to complement the picture.
But surely sometimes they can divert your attention from the picture.
They can be over ornate, but then some people like that. I have a customer actually who buys pictures mainly for the frame, for the decorative frame. Not really interested in the picture, as long as it's a reasonable picture, but he goes for the decorative frame.
What about a frame like this that needs a bit of work on? Is that worth buying?
If you had a picture to fit that, then you would obviously be prepared to spend a bit of time, and that's not as bad as it looks. Get that in the workshop and you'd soon tidy that out.
So presumably frame making is an art form in itself.
Well, it is, isn't it? Yes. Yeah. Yes, you need a good picture frame, actually. Of course, with old frames like this, you can, if they're not the right size, if you've got a nice frame like that, your picture frame would be able to cut it down to size.
Really?
Particularly one like this, which is not a swept frame. It's just a plain frame. You could cut it down to whatever size you like, even though it's an old frame.
Maurice, it's funny sometimes seeing these pictures with holes in, or ripped.
That's right. Well, you do have a bit of a problem with that. That actually isn't... that's been overstretched, I think, and split. It's probably been over a fire. And it's actually pulled the canvas apart. But you can actually stick another piece of canvas over there, put a weight on it, and then you need a good friendly artist just to fill it and match up the paint.
So it's reparable, then?
It is, actually. This isn't an expensive painting, so you wouldn't take it to a leading restore and spend £500 on it. But you could certainly, with a picture of this price range, you could have a go yourself.
So Maurice, talking about restoration, could you ever get a picture and restore the colours to their full glory?
Yes, of course you can. That's how you buy cheap pictures and end up with a good quality picture. Look at this. I'm not saying that this is good quality, but this is old varnish that's gone yellow. So the first thing you do actually, you give it a wipe, probably with terps or something, and to get the varnish off.
Surely if you put terps on, all the paint will come off.
No, it won't. Not with terps.
With a white.
Terps will fetch the nicotine off, and a lot of yellow on pictures is all nicotine because people smoked and smoked, yeah. And very often you can just clean it over with terps. To get the colour off, you have to use something a bit stronger, like a picture cleaner. And you do have to be careful, actually, because you can wipe the picture off. But with a bit of common sense, you...
Could you spoil a picture by cleaning it then?
Yes, I have done many times, thank you, yes. No, the quality's not there, I'm afraid. I wouldn't buy that.
Yeah, there's always a certain amount of risk, and some things that you buy on impulse, you bring home and you put them where you thought they'd look nice, and you can't bear them again to see them there. So in that case, then you can always sell them. It's not a one-way street. Things that you don't like or things that you've stopped enjoying, then you can always take them to an antique fair, take them to a dealer, probably get a better price than you paid for them originally, and swap them for a new piece.
I think one thing that we have found with the paintings that we've purchased is we've tended to buy landscapes of local landscapes in the area, knowing that there is a market, more than likely a sell-on market for paintings, landscapes of a local area. So it's because if you sell them in the same area, there's usually somebody else who wants to buy that sort of picture.
Well, some of these pictures are quite expensive, but you can get prints, can't you?
Yes, you don't have to spend a lot of money on watercolour or an oil painting. I mean, why not go for a really nice Victorian print? And this is a very nice picture, actually. It's a print of Miles Burkitt Foster. Now, if you wanted to buy the original of that, you're probably talking about £10,000, £11,000. You hang that on the wall, and no one but an expert would know that it was a print, actually. It needs I would think you get that for £50, £40, £50.
Although John and Jill already have some paintings, many rooms can happily cope with more than one. And it's often nice to be able to swap paintings round in order to change the feel of a room. As I was having a good old rummage, I was interested in getting some advice from Roy about being a first-time visitor to a specialist sale, as it seemed a rather overwhelming choice.
I'd suggest that you just, on the first occasion, unless you've got piles of money, just come along and have a look, get an idea, get the feel of the sale, see what's in there, buy a catalogue and attend the sale and see what prices are making. Don't be tempted in the first instance to go and buy the first thing that you like and sort of compromise yourself and end up with a picture you half like. Because over a period of time, if you see enough sales, attend enough, you will find exactly the thing you want, hopefully the price you want to pay for it.
Do you like this picture, Maurice?
I love it, actually. It's by one of the Norwich artists again, one of the Cotmans. I think it's Miles Edmund. And of course, you're going up market now. This is pushing 2,000, I would think, to buy. But it would probably be a lot more expensive if the composition had been a little better. See, all these old trees here detract from these beautifully painted boats here. So I think if you took that little piece there, you got a wonderful picture.
Is that not a subjective thing, Maurice? Because I quite like these.
Well, it is, but I'm sure it's affected the price.
Really? Yeah. Would that look nice in John and Jill's place, do you think?
It would look really nice in their drawing room, actually, because it's got a beautiful frame.
Maurice, what are you doing?
Well, there's some emulsion paint, actually. Someone's painted the ceiling to take the picture off the wall. So it's actually coming off. Some of the dirt's coming off as well. That's improved it considerably.
Is that what a dealer might do sometimes?
A dealer, you often see a dealer wetting his finger and going like that. And it brings, it doesn't work very well on this picture, but it brings the colour up underneath the dirt. And very often, if they want to see a signature, they'll go like that to bring the colour up. You can see it's.
Is the signature always on the right or the left?
It can be the right and the left.
Could be either side.
And if it's a very good artist, one of my finest finds actually was where the signature was up here by the side of this portrait rather than bottom right, bottom left. It was up there, and I bought it from a dealer and he didn't know it was signed. He said it isn't signed, but it was by a famous artist who'd been signed up near the top.
You get told off in an auction house for doing that?
I made £2,000 on that.
What you get told off for doing this in an auction house?
No, you can do what you like. Put your finger through it if you like.
It's funny, Maurice, isn't it? I mean, you've been walking around here and I've seen pictures that I like and you haven't. And you've seen pictures you like and I haven't. That's always the case, isn't it?
That's right. People have their own taste in pictures. Some people like watercolours, some people like oils. Some people like marine scenes, or they like rural scenes.
And some people buy them just for the value and they don't care what it looks like.
Yeah, that's a bit dangerous, actually. You've got to know what you're doing there. Once you get into high-value pictures, you're into the fakes, the copies, the forged signatures. It's a real minefield.
But it's like we've said all the way through, go for what you like.
You must go for what you like, yes.
Maurice's main love is paintings, so I thought it best to leave him alone for a while and let him enjoy his day at the auction, buying paintings for John and Jill, and perhaps, just perhaps, for himself.
We always like people to enjoy themselves on the Antiques Treasure Trail, and if you fancy a family day out, number 29 Lower Fitzwilliam Street is a fantastic Georgian house full of the most amazing things. Michael Lawrence had a guided tour.
Oh my goodness. Well, this is the engine room then?
Yes, nice, big, bright, airy kitchen.
Lovely.
A lot of women would give their eye teeth for this size of kitchen today.
I bet they would. And now we have the actual engine itself, which is the heating, cooking, water boiling system, which will be controlled by cook, but polished and serviced by the serving wench, I suppose you would call her, the little girl that did all the hard work.
Yes, there was a lot of work attaching to these, but they were a great step forward from the open hearth because it meant that the heat was conserved. It worked on cooking and heated the ovens, whereas before you had to keep a blazing fire going.
Yes.
Just for cooking and to heat the water.
And you cleaned it and polished it and set it up.
Oh yeah, and actually today people are fascinated by them. People buy them and collect them.
Yes, they do.
They do. And
I remember my mother working with one of these.
Well,
in the
I lived with
40s.
one of those when I was young.
Wonderful. Of course, we still have these wonderful display cabinets, basic working units, no refinement to them, but they could display and store the utensils and the plates on show. And also this sort of items and utensils can still be found in the shops and at the open markets today.
Oh, indeed. And the cook, the doors would be removed to give her more access. We can't remove them because it's not ours, but she would have total access to that.
Lovely. It's lovely to see these kitchens still as they were.
The house was restored because the Electricity Supply Board owns a large number of Georgian houses in this area, and these ones had to undergo restoration. So while they were doing it, they decided they would get one house really up to scratch to reproduce exactly the ambience of the period between 1780 and 1820. And they brought a great deal of objects like fireplaces and chandeliers in from other houses, and the museums and provided the furniture, and many private collectors have loaned things. We get specialist groups who come simply because they're focused on the Georgian thing. The overwhelming majority of people, they want the social aspect of the thing, the social background, what people did, how they lived, etc. What they wore, what they ate, and the difference between upstairs and downstairs, that type of thing.
Now, Mary, we're up here on the first floor, and we've now come into what looks like the day room, would you call it?
Well, it's the family room,
Yes.
as distinct from a large reception room which is quite close by. This is furnished to suggest what the family did in their spare time. Music was all important because they had to supply it themselves, and young ladies were expected to be accomplished.
So there's no television and no radio?
No television, no radio. They
the
had to
only
make.
entertainment we had was with what the ladies could produce from a square piano, your Irish
A harp, yes.
and your
Apollo lyre.
Beautiful. And they were fairly accomplished, I suppose, in those days.
Oh, they had to be. Jane Austen tells us how competitive the ladies were in their accomplishments.
Now over here there's a little bit of card gaming, and you have here obviously a rather nice card table. These recesses, candles perhaps?
Yes.
And for keeping the money or the chips.
Yeah.
And I see we have cowries.
Yes.
That's the money, is it, that the ladies would use?
Yes, every time you bought any game, you got cowrie shells with it.
Oh, that's nice.
They use them instead of money.
Yes, and of course these were being brought in from overseas, and as such, Dublin was second only to London with regarding the wealth and the strength of the city.
Oh, in that period, Dublin was the second city of the British Empire.
That's right, yes. I see we have a very large, robust, carved chair of the period. Large, I suppose, for the ladies' dresses, or the large, portly gentlemen?
Indeed, indeed.
Right, that's lovely. And coming here, of course, you have a lot more refinement compared to down below when we were in the engine room, in the kitchen, and you have now a centrepiece of a mantle, possibly Italian Carrara marble.
It is Carrara.
This is Carrara.
It is Carrara.
Yes.
And these rooms, they lavished money on this area of the house because this was where they entertained friends or people came in. As you go upstairs, everything is much more modest. Just as down in the kitchen, in the basement, it was functional.
Yes.
Anyone can go around the Georgian squares and look at them. But we find that often tour guides say to people, well, if you want to see how people lived in these houses, go into number 29 and you will have a very, very good idea of the day-to-day life in one of these houses. And that's what brings them in. And we find when they see it, they bring other people in.
And the trail continues, whether you're looking for that bargain or for an expensive antique that'll turn your house into a home.
This is 18th century, late 18th century.
Yeah.
Castleford, that's in England, so you come all the way here to find something that you love. Very rare to find one perfect. Usually they're found in museums or in private collections. Everybody was inventive in those days. The lid slides sideways, as you can see,
Yeah.
and then you slide it back on. To find one perfect like this would be very, very difficult because it is prone to the lid breaking, etc.
Yeah.
And today something like that would set you back. In the United Kingdom, I would have thought about 300, 350. Here, they're asking at the moment £600.
Jill, this is the glitteriest thing yet, isn't it?
Well, it's definitely the glitteriest thing I think I've found today, Ian. This is jewellery heaven.
Yeah,
The whole show is jewellery heaven. For ladies who like glitz and glamour, this is the stand. Now what we have here, in this particular piece, is a shoulder brooch. I've been doing a little bit of research on this. The lady on the stand speaks very good English, and she's been telling me all about this wonderful American costume jewellery. Now this particular piece would have been worn on the shoulder. So if you can sort of picture the Marilyn Monroe type black dress, shawl dress with this clasp on the shoulder,
Right.
holding the shawl, absolutely beautiful. Now I've just been told that these were prototypes for the real thing. So these were made up in this sort of paste jewellery, which is obviously cheaper, in the 1920s, around that period. And they were made as prototypes, and the people who could afford it, the film stars, the Hollywood film stars of that era, would have had the real McCoy, but these are the actual prototypes. So they're still, I would imagine, quite rare now. This particular brooch would be around £250, £300.
This is a tribal mask where the king's assistants would go ahead of his promenading through the village streets, and they would go ahead clearing the evil spirits away, cleansing the air, cleansing the spirits, and this would frighten the spirits away.
And is this old?
Oh yes, this one's an old one. And inside, if you turn it around, there's signs of wear. You look at the polish where the face is worn. So this one's an early one. It's
That's
nice to
marvellous,
see.
isn't it?
Nice colour, nice patination.
So is this the trend in antiques? Is this the way we're going?
I think educated and learning youngsters today, the youth, they want to expand into Africa, the African art. It's something new, and there's a great depth to it and such a great variety. When you consider that the British, when they came back from the colonies, etc., brought back all this stuff and it finished up in the loft. Now it's coming back and going on the walls again. So there was a period where it wasn't popular. Now the fashion's changing and it's very popular. African art, brilliant.
So the trick is to
Be ahead of the
foresee
game.
the trend.
Be ahead of the game. Like the stock market.
Yes.
To my untrained eye, this is a box.
Well, yes, it's definitely a box here, but this is a lovely little box. Just look inside here.
Oh, say.
Isn't that fantastic? Now this is English. It's a lovely piece. In fact, there's a lot of English pieces here today, but I really like this piece. I would love to, another thing I'd love to take home. But the condition of this is wonderful. Little writing box. Turn of the century, apparently. All the original hinges. There's something quite sad about this box, though, I think, Ian. The fact that it hasn't been used much. I wonder if it was a gift to somebody who didn't particularly like writing.
Unwanted gift as new.
Because
Somebody
it's
couldn't
so
write.
it's so new. It makes you
True.
think that it's not been really used very much. I mean, everything is still very new.
The beauty of discovering so much about the history of places and the lives of people through the antiques we buy today is all adding a great sense of well-being and warmth to John and Jill's home. traditional tools and traditional ways have been the trademark of the mouseman Robert Thompson for over 50 years.
I guess your great-grandfather would be pleased, wouldn't he?
I would like to think so. I mean, his last words to my father were, make sure you keep the timber yard full.